Now, I have a habit slash tradition slash whatever you want to call it with my homeboy, where basically we, send each other these reels, right? And we want to kind of just, keep, we want to keep stuff on our feed. And look, I'm not afraid to say it. I like chocolate. I send it to him, right? And I feel insulted when, in return, he decides to send me this absolute slop, which is alt white women or alt goth women or whatever. And then he responds with that as mommy. What the fuck are you doing, dude? I'm sorry. I don't know if I should call you my homeboy anymore because what you're feeding me, complete garbage, complete slop. Look, what I think is, these snow bunnies, look, if I wanted a cracker, I would go to my pantry, right? At the end of the day, when you bite into a cracker, it doesn't matter if they're alt, goth, emo, whatever you want to say. They're still a cracker at the end of the day, which is what I need to get my homeboy out of. Look, is my camera dirty, man? I don't know what's going on. Let me turn this down. Where was I? Yeah. Where was I? Look, these cracker women are trying to mind control my homeboy and other minority men, basically in order to achieve their white supremacist schemes. They dress in these alt and goth and emo fashions in order to get you hooked. It is an international white supremacy. It's pioneered by the CIA and Mossad in order to get these minority men into positions in which they become submissive, not just to women, to white women. Now, I have nothing against, people being submissive to women, but look, when you are a minority man, you want to be mommy domed or whatever by other minority women. When it's a white woman, you're re-engaging in this power dynamic. My homeboy, he's Indian, right? I'm thinking, bro, you want a British woman, a British alt, it doesn't matter, to subjugate you once again? I can't allow this to happen to my homeboy. I would never let a Spanish woman or a Spanish emo goth woman subjugate me. This is a new MK Ultra experiment that the CIA is putting out in order to get these Latino men hooked so they can create it's eugenics at this point, so they can get them hooked. And they won't call it eugenics, of course, but they want to get them hooked and say, okay, alt emo goth women, and then transition to okay brunettes, okay black hair, okay Italian, and then at the end of the day they're then transitioning up in Europe until it gets to blonde hair, blue eyes, so they can reproduce Hitler babies. At the end of the day, they recognize that white people are becoming a minority, and the best way that they can do this is a eugenics scheme that they push through emo alt women. And I know this because I was part of this, because I had to break out of this 2 years ago, or maybe more. I was into this impression of, well, I don't really like white women, but these alt emo baddies, and then it would slowly transition me more and more and more and more and more towards liking these white women until I broke out. 2 years ago, I would have said mommy to the reel that he sent me of these alt emo goth women that were white. Today, I would have asked where the melanin was at because that's where I play. Look, at the end of the day, if there's no melanin, don't hit me up. If there's no melanin, get off my feed. I'm not trying to see you. Latino men have this unfortunate tendency to, go for the snow, which I think is unfortunate. It is hella, impactful to our communities because, and of course there are Latino white people, just straight up. But I'm seeing a lot of mestizo men. I'm seeing brown skin Latino men start to go for these white women. And I mean Aryan. I'm not talking about like, oh, well, they're like mostly Spanish. No, Aryan. And it's just tragic, man. It really is tragic. And then these white women, look, I'm just saying, these Latino men that want to marry white women are going to tend to vote for Donald Trump most of the time. That's just what I'm saying. It creates this unfortunate dynamic, and the Latinos, these dark-skinned Latino men, start to think that they're now white. It's unfortunate. We must be proud that we're Latino. We must be proud that we're minorities and not strive to be white in this white supremacist society. We should want to be proud of ourselves. Look, Latino men, any man out there, look for yourself a nice, look for the melanin, all right? Don't go for the snow. If it's snowing, I'm not going. But, if she's black, I'll crack. Okay. Look for black queens, look for Latinas, look for melanin. It doesn't matter. But if it's snowing, find shelter. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.